Everyone, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios, tucked away in Hythe, southeast coast of England, just in the English Channel. Sometimes Hythe is called in Anglo-Saxon the Haven, so we call this the Haven. We hope you are all happy and safe. Now there's another surge of this pandemic and different mutants. It's natural that viruses mutate. That's part of their natural way. Just like we grow, they mutate. And still, the mutated strain is probably more transmittable from one person to another. So we urge everyone to be extra careful now. And we know that it's past time when people can be patient, but laws of nature know no change, and therefore we have to learn ourselves to be patient. But the best way to be patient is to hear about Krishna every day. So we're trying to do our part. We hope you're all participating in the Live to Give campaign to distribute 2 million Gitas during this Christmas marathon, during the Prabhupada marathon. So doing your best to somehow give the Bhagavad Gitas to others. In the meantime, let's share also these readings that we do every day. Try to increase the number of followers so that more people can get relief. I was just talking to Radharaman today, and people who have been locked down and can't have their holiday seasons properly and can't do the normal socializing that all living beings need to do. Even animals need to socialize in a certain way. And it's hard. It's very hard. But imagine how hard it would be without Krishna consciousness. That level of compassion we need, and we need therefore to do our duty, to do our best according to our capacity and our situation, to spread this Krishna consciousness. Okay, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was into spreading Krishna consciousness. And his life and soul was this Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Once he was, after he had given a lecture in Munjer, which is a place in Bengal close to the Ganga, there was an earth tremor, and it caused a mild flooding of the Ganga, but the water soon receded. But after it did, Saraswati Thakur said this: in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage. Because after the flood has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. So we're well into the first chapter of Antya-līlā, Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Lord Chaitanya brought his most intimate associates, Ramananda Roy, Sri Damodar, maybe, and others, to meet Rūpa Gosvāmī. They've been hearing various verses from Rupa Goswami's two new dramas that he's writing, Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. Vidagdha Madhava is about the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, and Lalita Madhava is about his pastimes in Dwarka. So they've heard these amazing verses and asking, because these are the greatest drama experts, Sanskrit drama experts, Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar Goswami. So they're questioning Rupa Goswami all different things about how the play is introduced, how it introduces the players, how it first tries to enliven the hearers or the watchers to be enlivened about it. All these different facets of Sanskrit drama are being discussed, just the parts of it. And after they've heard, they're all saying that Rupa Goswami, no one can write like this. They're describing it not just as literature, but as a stream of nectar and so on. So now Ramananda Roy is talking to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, explaining to him why he thinks Rupa Goswami can do this. Because nobody can do this, but he's doing it. We're beginning from text 205. Because of your causeless mercy toward your devotees, you want to describe the transcendental pastimes in Vrindavan. Anyone empowered to do this can bring the entire world under your influence. So this is Ramananda Roy to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. This passage parallels the statement, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan, which means that unless empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, one cannot spread the holy name of the Lord throughout the entire world. C.C. Antya 711. Under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a pure devotee can preach the holy name of the Lord so that everyone may take advantage of this facility and thus become Krishna conscious. Text 206. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Rupa Goswami and asked him to offer prayers at the lotus feet of all the devotees present. Text 207. Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and all the other devotees showed their causeless mercy to Rupa Goswami by embracing him in return. 208. Seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy toward Srila Rupa Goswami and seeing his personal qualities, all the devotees were struck with wonder. 209. Then, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left with all of his devotees, Haridas Thakur also embraced Srila Rupa Goswami. 210. Haridas Thakur told him, "There is no limit to your good fortune. No one can understand the glories of what you have described." 211. Sri Rupa Goswami said, "I do not know anything. The only transcendental words I can utter are those which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes me speak." Purport. The poet or writer dealing with transcendental subject matters is not an ordinary writer or translator. Because he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever he writes becomes very effective. The principle of being empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is essential. A materialistic poet who describes in his poetry the material activities of men and women cannot describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord or the transcendental conclusions of devotional service. Srila Sanatana Goswami has therefore warned all neophyte devotees that one should not hear from the mouth of a non-Vaishnava. A Vaishnava makod girnam putram harikatamritam shravanam naivakartavyam sarpochishtam yatapayaha. This is from the Padma Purana. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. Unless one is a fully unalloyed devotee of the Lord, one should not try to describe the pastimes of Krishna in poetry, for it will be only mundane. There are many descriptions of Krishna's Bhagavad Gita written by persons whose consciousness is mundane and who are not qualified by pure devotion. Although they attempted to write transcendental literature, they could not fully engage even a single devotee in Krishna's service. Such literature is mundane, and therefore, as warned by Sri Sanatana Goswami, one should not touch it. 212. Although I am the lowest man of men, and have no knowledge, the Lord has mercifully bestowed upon me the inspiration to write transcendental literature about devotional service. Therefore, I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is giving me the chance to write these books. Purport. This verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:1-2. Text 213. In this way, Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī passed his time in close association with Haridas Thakur by discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna in great happiness. Text 214. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus spent 4 months with him. Then the Lord bade them farewell, and they returned to Bengal. Text 215. Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī, however, stayed at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when the Dola Yatra festival took place, he saw it in great happiness with the Lord. 216. After the Dola Yatra festival ended, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to Rūpa Gosvāmī. The Lord empowered him and bestowed upon him all kinds of mercy. 217. Now go to Vrindavan and stay there, the Lord said. You may send here your elder brother, Sanatan. Text 218. When you go to Vrindavan, stay there, preach transcendental literature, and excavate the lost holy places. 219. Establish the service of Lord Krishna and preach the mellows of Lord Krishna's devotional service. I shall also go to Vrindavan once more. Text 220. Having thus spoken, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Rūpa Gosvāmī, who then placed the lotus feet of the Lord upon his head. Text 221. Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī took leave of all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and returned to Vrindavan by the path through Bengal. 222. Thus I have described the second meeting of Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears of this incident will certainly attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. 223. Shri Rūpa Raghunatha Padayara Ash, Caitanya-caritāmrta, Kahe, Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rūpa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Caitanya-caritāmrta, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Shri Caitanya-caritāmrta, Antya-līlā, first chapter, describing the second meeting of Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai. The transcendental literatures of Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai. The mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu upon Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī, and all the associates of Lord Chaitanya's mercy upon the Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai. May they all shine their mercy upon us. Oh, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Okay. Chapter 2. The Chastisement of Junior Haridas. The purport of this chapter is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha as follows. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmrta, wanted to explain direct meetings with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meetings with those empowered by him and his Avirbhava appearance. Thus he described the glories of Nishingananda and other devotees. A devotee named Bhagavan Acharya was exceptionally faithful to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nevertheless, his brother Gopal Bhatta Acharya discoursed upon the commentary of impersonalism, Mayavad. Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami, the secretary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, forbid Bhagavan Acharya to indulge in hearing that commentary. Later, when Junior Haridas, following the order of Bhagavan Acharya, went to collect alms from Madhavi Devi, he committed an offense by talking intimately with a woman, although he was in the renounced order. Because of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Junior Haridas, and despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees, the Lord did not accept him again. 1 year after this incident, Junior Haridas went to the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna and committed suicide. In his spiritual body, however, he continued to sing devotional songs, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard them. When the Vaishnavas of Bengal went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these incidents became known to Sarup Damodar and others. Text 1. Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavang Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakangs Vichangs Cha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Text 2. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 3. In his incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the three worlds, from Brahmaloka down to Pataloka. He caused their deliverance in three ways. Text 4. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering a pure devotee, in still other places by appearing before someone himself. Text 5 and 6. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by entering the bodies of great devotees, such as Nakula Brahmachari, and he delivered still others by appearing before them, as in the case of Nishingananda Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The Lord always manifested his Avirbhava appearance in the following four places. 1. The house of Srimati Shachimata. 2. Wherever Nityananda Prabhu danced in ecstasy. 3. The house of Srivas, when Kirtan was performed. And 4. The house of Raghava Pandit. Lord Chaitanya himself appeared in these four places. In this connection, one may consult text 34. Text 7. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him, even once, was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Text 8. Each year, devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and after the meeting, they would return to Bengal. Text 9. Similarly, people who went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces of India were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 10. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands, the 9 khandas, the planets of the demigods, Gandharva-loka and Kinnara-loka, would go there in the forms of human beings. Purport. For an explanation of Saptadvip, see Antya-līlā, chapter 20, verse 218, and Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapters 16 and 20. In the Siddhanta Shiromani, chapter 1, Goladhyaya, in the Bhuvana Kosha section, the 9 khandas are mentioned as follows. Within Bharatvarsha, there are 9 khandas. They are known as 1. Indra, 2. Kasheru, 3. Tamraparna, 4. Gabhastimat, 5. Kumarika, 6. Naga, 7. Saumya, 8. Varuna, and 9. Gandharva. Text 11. Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas. Thus, in ecstatic love of Godhead, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and danced. Text 12. Thus, by direct meetings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, were entangled in material activities and could not go. Text 13. to deliver people in regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. Text 14. Thus, he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees by seeing them. Purport. As stated in Caitanya-caritämrta, Antya 7:11, Kali Kalera Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtana, Krishna Shakti Vina, Nahitara Pravartana. Unless one is empowered by Sri Chaitanya, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot spread the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout the world. Persons who do so are empowered. Therefore, they are sometimes called Abhesha Avataras, or empowered incarnations, for they are endowed with the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 15. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire three worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. 16. In Ambuya Muluka, there was a person named Nakula Brahmachari, who was a perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Ambuya Muluka is the present Ambika, a city in the Vardhamana district of West Bengal. Formerly, during the Muslim regime, it was known as Ambuya Muluka. In this city, there is a neighborhood called Pyariganja, and that is where Nakula Brahmachari used to live. Text 17. Desiring to deliver all the people of Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakula Brahmachari. Text 18. Nakula Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. Text 19. He continuously exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced in love of Godhead, and made sounds like those of a cloud. Made sounds like those of a cloud. That's far out. Rumbling. Text 20. His body shone with the same luster as that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed the same absorption in ecstatic love of Godhead. People came from all provinces of Bengal to see these symptoms. Text 21. He advised whomever he met to chant the holy names, Hare Krishna. Thus, upon seeing him, people were overwhelmed with love of Godhead. Text 22. When Shivananda Sen heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had entered the body of Nakula Brahmachari, he went there with doubts in his mind. Text 23. Desiring to test the authenticity of Nakula Brahmachari, he stayed outside, thinking as follows. If Nakula Brahmachari personally calls me and knows my worshipable mantra, then I shall understand that he is inspired by the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way, he stayed some distance apart. Text 26. There was a large crowd of people, some coming and some going. Indeed, some people in that great crowd could not even see Nakula Brahmachari. 27. In his inspired state, Nakula Brahmachari said, Shivananda Sen is staying some distance away. 2 or 4 of you, go call him. 28. Thus people began running here and there, calling in all directions. Shivananda, whoever is Shivananda, please come. Nakula Brahmachari is calling you. 29. Hearing these calls, Shivananda Sen quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakula Brahmachari, and sat down near him. Text 30. Nakula Brahmachari said, I know that you are doubtful. Now please hear this evidence with great attention. You are chanting the Gora Gopal mantra, composed of 4 syllables. Now please give up the doubts that have resided within you. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Gora Gopal mantra in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha. Worshippers of Sri Gaurasundar accept the 4 syllables Gaur, Ra, Ang, Ga. Gaur, Go, Go, Rang, Go, Ra, Ang, Ga as the Gora mantra. But pure worshippers of Radha and Krishna accept the 4 syllables Radha Krishna as the Gora Gopal mantra. However, Vaishnavas consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu non-different from Radha Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. Therefore, one who chants the mantra Gauranga and one who chants the names of Radha and Krishna are on the same level. Text 32. Shivananda Sen thereupon developed full confidence in his mind that Nakula Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shivananda Sen then offered him respect and devotional service. 33. In this way one should understand the inconceivable potencies of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now please hear how his appearance, Avirbhava, takes place. 34 and 35. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always appeared in 4 places: in the household temple of Mother Shachi, in the places where Nityananda Prabhu danced, in the house of Srivas Pandit during congregational chanting, and in the house of Raghava Pandit. He appeared because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. Text 36. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before Nishangananda Brahmachari and ate his offerings. Please hear about this with great attention. Shivananda Sen had a nephew named Srikant Sen, who by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. One year, Srikant Sen came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. 39. Seeing Srikanta Sen, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Srikanta Sen stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. Text 40. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, "Forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year." 41. This year I shall personally go to Bengal and meet all the devotees there, headed by Advaita Acharya. 42. Please inform Shivananda Sen that in the month of Pausha, December, January, I shall certainly go to his home. Jagadananda is there, and he will give me offerings of food. Inform them all that no one should come to Jagannath Puri this year. Text 44. When Sri Kanta Sen returned to Bengal and delivered this message, the minds of all the devotees were very pleased. 45. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri with the other devotees, but upon hearing this message, he waited. Shivananda Sen and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 46. Excuse me. When the month of Pausha arrived, Jagadananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. Text 47. As the month passed, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. 48 and 49. Suddenly, Nishingananda arrived, and Jagadananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nishingananda inquired, "Why do I see that you are both despondent?" Text 50. Then Shivananda Sen told him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come. Why then has he not arrived? Text 51. Hearing this, Nishingananda Brahmachari replied, "Please be satisfied. I assure you that I shall bring him here 3 days from now." Text 52. Shivananda and Jagadananda knew of Nishingananda Brahmachari's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore, they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 53. His real name was Pradyumna Brahmachari. The name Nishingananda had been given to him by Lord Gaurasundar himself. 54. After meditating for 2 days, Nishingananda Brahmachari told Shivananda Sen, "I have already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati. Tomorrow at noon, he will come to your home. Therefore, please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food." Text 56. In this way, I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. Text 57. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do what I say. Text 58. Nishingananda Brahmachari said to Shivananda Sen, "Please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want." Thus Shivananda Sen immediately brought whatever he asked for. 59. Beginning early in the morning, Nishingananda Brahmachari cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice, and other preparations. Text 60. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also separately offered dishes to Nishingadev, his worshipable deity. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings. Then, outside the temple, he began to meditate upon the Lord. In his meditation, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down, and eat all 3 offerings, leaving behind no remnants. 63. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, "Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food." Text 64. "My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath, therefore I have no objection to your eating his offering, but why are you touching the offering for Lord Nishingadev?" Text 65. "I think that Nishingadev could not eat anything today. He is, and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can his servant live?" 66. Although Nishinga Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything, for the sake of Lord Nishingadev, he externally expressed disappointment. 67. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nishingadev. 68. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. After eating all the offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There, he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghava. Shivananda said to Nishingananda, "Why are you expressing dismay?" Nishingananda replied, "Just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." 71. He alone has eaten the offerings for all 3 deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nishingadev remained fasting. 72. When Shivananda Sain heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nishingananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. 73. When Shivananda Sain was thus perplexed, Nishingananda Brahmachari said to him, "Bring more food. Let me cook again for Lord Nishingadev." Then Shivananda Sain again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nishingadev. The next year, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 76. One day in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nishingananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. 77. The Lord said, "Last year, in the month of Pausha, when Nishingananda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I felt I had never before eaten such preparations." 78. Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. 79. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Shachimata every day, and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when kirtan was performed. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghava. 81. Lord Gaurachandra is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself subdued by such love, appears, and his devotees see him. 82. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Singh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus, I have described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. So I will stop the reading for tonight. Hare Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Nishringa Brahmachari ki jai. All right, if there's any reflections, comments, discussion, this is the time. It's a little after 8.
First is something from Santa Rūpa Devi Dasi.
Santa Rūpa, Hare Krishna.
She says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Can one also be empowered by his or her guru? Since guru is representative of Krishna, I guess this is a useless question.
It's not a useless question, but the degrees of empowerment will depend on the qualifications of the devotee and the guru. But yes, of course, the guru will and can empower, because the principle is parampara. And just as we are hearing how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whoever even saw him or hear him speak or chant, became fully Krishna conscious immediately. And that person would go back to his village, and anyone who heard from him would become Krishna conscious. And so it went until now. And although it sounds a little dramatic or maybe sentimental, but Prabhupada was only 10 persons removed in that chain of the flow of that hearing and chanting. In other words, there were 10 people in between him and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, therefore, he was so empowered, and anyone who actually surrenders fully, and this is the ticket or the condition, if one surrenders fully and gives his whole life to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his whole life to spreading Krishna consciousness without any other motive or without doing anything else, that person also becomes empowered. But it doesn't mean that they'll have the same empowerment, the same kind of empowerment that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had, or the same degree of empowerment. No one can have the same degree of empowerment as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're jivas, and he is the supreme soul. So yes, that empowerment is there. It's coming down to us through the parampara system, and anyone who takes seriously the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and dedicates his life to the spiritual master who is connected with that parampara can spread Krishna consciousness. No one else. And can understand these pastimes to be true. It simply is a question of degree, that's all. But the empowerment is there.
The second part to this, she She says devotees sometimes refer to another devotee as being empowered. How do we know?
You know by how people are changing in his association. But it's not ever a stereotyped, mechanical type of formula. It's not like mathematics. Each person will be empowered to the degree he has the capacity and according to his nature and to the place and time and circumstances. But you can tell who's empowered because they make other devotees devotees. That's the main thing. When you associate with devotees who are empowered, you feel yourself uplifted. You feel yourself advancing in Krishna consciousness. No one has to give a certificate or a diploma. You know. That's the nature of revealed knowledge and the nature of spiritual empowerment. And the verse literally says, no one can spread Krishna consciousness around the world unless he's empowered by Krishna. So the Krishna consciousness movement has spread a lot since Śrīla Prabhupada left. There were 5,000 initiated devotees then. How many are there now? A lot more. He opened 108 temples exactly, or projects and temples. Now there's more than 800. So Krishna consciousness is spreading, and that means that those who surrendered to Prabhupada and took up the spreading of Krishna consciousness, and those who were their followers or disciples who took it up, are also spreading Krishna consciousness. But don't measure it in terms of numbers. I heard Prabhupada say this just the other day in an audio when I was listening to Prabhupada. He said you can't judge the movement in numbers. Krishna consciousness is not for everyone. Ultimately it is, but to take Krishna consciousness you have to be qualified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can deliver the whole universe just by his personal presence, but we're not like that. But we are spreading Krishna consciousness. Krishna says, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam apisiddhanam kachtin mam veti tatpataha. That out of many hundreds of thousands of people, one may even think about endeavoring to advance in Krishna consciousness or spiritual consciousness. And out of one who has actually attained the state of self-realization and who has perceived directly for himself that he's not the body in the beginning, among millions of those people, those devotees, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. So it's not for everyone. It's like a rare gem that only the most exclusive shops, have. And there may be imitations of them in glass or some other substance. Now they're experimenting with making diamonds in the laboratory, and everybody's all bewildered. Are we going to is this going to be as valuable as the ones that are created in nature, and that we have to look and look and look and dig and dig and dig to find? So this is the dilemma, the moral dilemma. So it's like that. Krishna consciousness is not for everybody, therefore there's not going to be a lot of pure devotees, absolutely pure, but their influence is expanding and changing things. All the different, trends toward meditation and yoga and mantra and kirtan groups and vegetarianism and alternative, spiritual lifestyles from the Vedas. All these things are being spread by Srila Prabhupada. They were not nearly as popular, before Prabhupada came. And they're spreading like wildfire after Prabhupada left, through his books and through his devotees who are taking seriously the duty from Srila Prabhupada to spread his movement, especially through the distribution of the books, the distribution of the holy name, and the distribution of Krishna Prasadam. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Bhakti Noel.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti Noel, Hare Krishna.
She says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I have missed this stream of daily nectar. I have a question about poets writing about transcendental literature. What if one enjoys writing about one's own spiritual journey in Krishna consciousness, in poetry or otherwise? Is it improper to write about this, or just improper to write about the transcendental pastimes? Does this in 1.2.11 refer to Vaishnavas reading poetry or words by non-Vaishnavas? Could you please explain?
Well, generally, this is talking about the composition of Sanskrit poetic glorification of the pastimes of the Lord. That's the specific application. But it also does apply to anyone who tries to write transcendental literatures glorifying the pastimes of the Lord. Because you have to know the science of rasa. You have to know the science of relationships and tastes that go on in spiritual relationships to properly write transcendental literature. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't write, because by writing we get realizations. It helps us to remember. It helps us to clear our thoughts, and to express our thoughts more clearly. So there's just like there's a difference between reciting the prayers of those devotees who are actually fully realized, like Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and so on, Srinivasacharya. But there's also the expression of our hearts, that we can pray to the Lord, we can talk to the Lord, according to our own feelings. So those things you can write down, and it's just fine. Should be done. But even then, if you do that prematurely and then try to expand it by propagating it, that may not be successful, depending on how qualified you are spiritually. Unless you're clear and you repeat in your own words what Krishna says, what your spiritual master said, then it will be confusing rather than uplifting. There's a purport. I'm just going to pull it up right now, this purport. Whoops, where did it go? There it is. Yes. It is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, verse 1 in the purport. And this is the statement by Srila Prabhupada. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's learning by trying to surpass the previous acharyas. One must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time, one must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. So to the extent that you have developed that consciousness, you can write and speak transcendental knowledge. And the test of whether it's pure or how empowered it is the effect it will have on people who read it or hear it. But you can also write for your own upliftment, for your own edification, just for yourself. Hare Krishna. I hope that helps.
There's a comment from Bhakta Ben.
Bhakta Ben, Haribol.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I like how it was said that Lord Chaitanya manifests his own devotion in his devotees, and that devotion is what attracts others to him.
Yes. That's the way it works. That's the eternal parampara.
And Bhakti Noel says, I understand, Maharaj. Clearing our thoughts and hearts is what I was hoping was okay. Writing about transcendental pastimes I would never attempt and only use as an inspiration and realization. Thank you for bringing up Prabhupada's words from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening, and thank you for coming to hear. And I have a letter that I just found today that was buried in my inbox because it was written just at the time when I went in for that major surgery. And it just got buried in my inbox, and I just found it today. And I will respond to that letter very soon. It's taking me a long time to catch up after all those weeks of recovery and all the things that I went through after that surgery. Now I'm much better, so I'm catching up. So forgive me for not writing, taking so long to respond to your letter.
Shanta Rūpa Devi Dasi said, Parampara, thank you. Surrendering is the ticket.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Shri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Sama Beta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to all the devotees, especially those who hear these transcendental pastimes in the company of other like-minded devotees. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same place, same time, same subject. Transcendental bliss. Hare Krishna.